Okay, I'm back again. Let's hope this updates now. I don't know if it will. Whatever. I should have updated the title. I don't know. This is a clusterfuck. I think I goofed, but it's okay. People will come in here and they will see what we're doing and they'll love it regardless of if the title doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start with some news about the oil. The like this is breaking points. I watched them a decent amount. I like that Ryan Grimm guy. I think he's a good reporter for DropSite. And I think he's on this panel. I didn't really watch much of it before, so we'll see what they have to say about, the biggest cost that will be imposed on us, which is, paying slightly higher gas prices.
5 a.m. The CNBC headline is S&P 500. Well, as we're recording,
that is way too fast. That's what I listen to it on my own. Okay.
This it's 9:25 a.m. The CNBC headline is S&P 500 futures tick higher as crude oil trades lower after Iran conflict surge. That's again what it's showing right now. By the time you see this, markets will be open. But Ryan, I want to roll this clip of Donald Trump responding to questions yesterday in the Oval Office about oil prices. It's a midterm election year. He's focused on cost of living, as his team continues to say.
So costly.
D1, this is Trump on what could happen, what that might mean for him in the near future with oil and gas prices.
I'll tell you what, I have never had more compliments on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
And he rolled out his plan for the Strait of Hormuz.
As soon as it ends, let's hope it ends soon. Let's hope it's not like, let's hope it doesn't take like 20 years or whatever the last war we were in took.
Social, let's put the next element up on the screen, writing, effective immediately, I've ordered the U.S. Development Finance Corporation to provide at a very reasonable price political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy, traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all ships.
Okay, so political risk insurance. So I guess that means we're paying the insurance cost to insure stuff going through the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, it doesn't really matter because nobody, no reasonable company is going to try to take that risk right now. So it's going to be like empty. And then, guarantees for financial security. So, okay.
Shipping lines, if necessary, the
Just
U.S. Navy will
security.
begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the U.S. will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The U.S. is...
If we're starting to escort tankers, that's first, I don't necessarily think that they're going to go through with this. It just is probably too risky. Like you're risking, you're getting a lot closer and risking a lot more of a chance that you're going to actually get one of your Navy ships taken down. So, but maybe they will. Who knows? Trump's a pretty crazy guy.
Economic military might is the greatest on earth. More actions to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And D3, we can go ahead.
We're up to 4, Mem Straw Hat. 4 subscribers. Hopefully they can still find my channel with all the name changes. Mem. I guess I can call you Mem. Don't want to be associated with the Straw Hats, I see.
And put latest oil barrel prices up on the screen. So this would actually be as of yesterday, I think is when we got this graphic in.
Speaking of Straw Hats, I mean, if only we could get Luffy, if we could get all of them to come over and start, maybe they need to come over and start escorting all of the tankers through the Strait of Hormuz.
So yeah, crude oil prices surge above $77 a barrel to their highest level since January 21st, 2025, one day after President Trump's inauguration. And then Kobasi letter says on X, little commentary, the entire oil price decline under President Trump has now been erased. So you can see why he's eager to downplay any concerns or to undercut concerns by saying, well, this is great for other reasons. Oil prices Something we might have to put up with. Ryan, reaction to Trump's comments yesterday.
Yeah, and
Let's see what Ryan says.
I just noticed it's
This is the guy, by the way. If anybody ever wants, he's a really good reporter. I like him a lot.
down a couple bucks.
The only reason I even started watching the show was because he was on it.
Down about 73 or 70, $74. It'll much depend on if and when this ends. As Trump's promise that he is going to escort
not anytime soon
oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz and
escort them forever.
And also reinsure
escort them around the world
is quite an aggressive step. Reinsurance basically runs the world. Like that is the actual
insurance runs the world.
If we stop insuring properties in Florida, for instance, like forget it. Like that's and so the way that this works is these massive oil tankers have insurance, and it costs a particular amount to get through, a particular part of the world, and the reinsurers once Iran's
that insurance price though, we're just covering that. Like if we're going to be escorting them, we're just covering that cost, like the cost of insurance, and so it's just. You think I should my voice volume or the volume of the show? Voice volume. Well, I think that's as high as it goes on here. I can maybe move the mic a little bit closer to my mouth. Is that a little bit better? Testing. I don't know. We'll just keep going. I'll check it out after the stream, I guess. Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, I am trying a new thing of it actually going through my mic audio, and I might have to do some actual mixing sort of stuff. In comparison to the actual video I'm watching, though, is it okay? Like if you just turn it up on your computer, like can you still, like, can you hear me occasionally talk over it, or that was the problem that I had last time. Because I can always turn down the video and then just leave my current volume at the same, and then you can turn it up on your side, but okay, well that's fine. I can do that. Sorry. I think that I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna turn down the video more, and then I'm going to just keep my volume at where it's at.
Said the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Said forget it. Like we're not backing these up because for obvious reasons.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I didn't express it very well.
Two things. We'll send in the Navy, and we will use our own basically tax dollars through this development finance.
That's what I said.
To offer the insurance itself. And so then it's up to the ships to risk it. Now, the Navy has subsequently said, actually, we don't really have a whole lot of capacity to do this escort. So
I wonder why.
Hey, I've got ship stuff.
The Navy's been doing like nonstop missions in like in the Middle East, then back to Latin America, then back to the Middle East, and I'm sure after this back to Latin America to go after Cuba again. They're just literally they're doing nonstop movements and stuff. Like, yeah, I think they're like, yeah, we don't have capacity. That's the story of America's life right now.
Help me out. Like, no, that's just, we didn't really mean that. But if you, here's the process to get some insurance. So Iran has been attacking a couple tankers and hitting them. And it doesn't take much to completely seize them up. Meanwhile, you put up D4. They've said, and we'll see, how effective this is. They've said that Chinese and Russian vessels can get through, which would be ironic if then the U.S. says, well, no,
well, we'll see if they actually take that risk right now.
And or do
I mean,
the
they might not target them, but it is like, a clusterfuck right now. Like, I don't know if they'll want to actually, if China or Russia will want to ship through there. But if it turns into a long-term thing, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll take them up on that.
do these oil tankers that are stuck reach out to the Chinese and reflag themselves as Chinese, and China then gets half of it or something. And maybe like we'll see. Meanwhile, it's I think so. What it's March, right? We're going to be talking about primaries next with the David Sirota and Dave Weigel. Midterms are coming. I don't, I don't know if
Midterms,
it's true
what are
that
those?
the public thinks that this is the greatest thing anybody's ever done, and that they're willing to pay higher gas and energy prices. Because
Independents definitely don't and won't.
yeah, and like it's not just that
Anyone who's not a cultist, anyone who's not like down bad for the Trump MAGA train, like there's nobody else is going to be okay with this war.
You might push to like $4 a gallon or something like that. It's not just it filters
$4,
through the
oof.
entire economy.
Yeah.
Trump actively, smashed very deliberately and proudly any attempt to move to renewable energy, and so everything in the
We don't
economy
need it.
runs on fossil
Only
fuels.
oil.
So if you push up that price, everything then gets more expensive. And I can't imagine that people are going to be like, oh, well, that's good because at least Israel got to have its war with Iran.
Well, that's
we
why they
must
were so
suffer
freaked
for
out about the
Israel.
messaging, as we covered earlier, which I think we're arguing is reflective of a conflicted, muddled, inconclusive strategy itself, sort of sprung from that well.
Yeah,
But
they have no
that's
idea
why
what
they're
they're
freaked
doing.
out about it, because now when people are looking back on, why are these prices higher? Well, there are these clips that are going to ring in their minds if they follow the news very closely about Marco Rubio saying, well, we heard Israel was going to strike, or Mike Johnson saying we heard Israel was going to
The
strike.
preemptive strike
Democrats will
train, man.
use
I'm
that.
telling you, that's what I said. It's like preemptive strikes all the way through. We're never going to actually make a real strike. It's all preemptive.
Sympathy for Israel among voters has plummeted, and that means
Keep going
independents,
lower.
particularly,
It could be lower.
if you need them to turn
Remember,
out
it could
in a
always
place
be
like
lower.
North Carolina, for Republicans, you have a problem. So let's turn to developments from Qatar. This is the next element: Qatar Energy to stop downstream production. Qatar Energy values its relationship with all of its stakeholders and will continue to communicate the latest available information.
That's natural gas, yeah.
Yep, LNG. And then the next element, this is the Reuters headline: Qatar smelter shutdown exacerbates Iran war aluminum
Aluminum?
fears. The
My
impact of the
tinfoil?
US-Israeli attacks on Iran.
Wait, what am I going to make all my hats with? What am I going to make all my tinfoil hats with?
The aluminum sector deepened on Tuesday after Qatari smelter Qatalum began to shut down, and shareholder Norsk Hydro issued a force majeure to customers. Ryan, everything's going according to plan.
Right. So this is the way that things cascade through the economy, and so the South Korean market, which has been surging throughout the year, had an absolutely massive sell off. It hit one of those circuit breakers where they're like, oh, okay, just stop trading. This is an absolute catastrophe.
No more hats. I
You've
know.
had other Asian markets
yeah.
selling off as well.
Luckily, we got a bunch of tinfoil from Costco before this, so we should be set for a while.
So far, the U.S. markets have, they're volatile, but they haven't been completely rocked yet. We'll see what happens today. But this stuff then starts to become.
Dude, this is all building though. This is like this is kind of how the ends of empires always go, is that all of these compounding effects start to build. Like there's little things that happen, right? Like, oh, people no longer flee to treasury bonds at first, or like the dollar, it doesn't go up whenever the stock market goes down, and then we're at war with, more countries than we're usually at war with, which is a lot already. And it's and then like, oh, now the oil is going up. Like this is all setting up the perfect storm for like collapse. And I never want to say that I'm predicting that it's going to happen, because it's impossible to predict like the timing of the collapse of empire. But like if you look back in history at every single empire that has ever collapsed, all of these ingredients were there and they were all, they were all mixing around in the pot. And so now here we are.
Self-reinforcing.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
if you are leveraged in one in a market that dives, and now you've got margin calls coming in, you have to meet that, then you have to sell off other assets in order to pay that, and then that dives, and then you have to sell off those assets. So that's why. And then you have all of these AIs out there trading
Grok.
in ways where they're trying to
Grok.
Find a little arbitrage.
It's going to be too expensive to run Grok pretty soon, guys. Uh-oh. What are we going to do? What are all the gooners going to do? Their AI girlfriends are going to be turned off. There's not enough oil.
On the world, and so that that can produce some kind of runaway moves once you break through thresholds that people expect to be stable.
And bear in mind, there is no regime change plan. Donald Trump just said that in the Oval Office yesterday. He said, we don't know if it'll be better or worse. We don't actually know if it's Pahlavi or someone else. And so the certainty for people who are trading and trying to make financial decisions here is absent.
Yeah.
Nobody has any. I mean, this is already in the broader tariff climate, which is putting a lot of injecting a lot of uncertainty into the markets right now.
Tariffs.
So incredibly shaky global economy. That's, I mean, it's always shaky.
Just
but
one,
right now,
man, just
fragility.
one major drop, dude. One major drop. I feel like it. I feel. I mean, it could happen. It could happen.
Is at another level.
Yeah, and I think to me this is the markets and the economy and oil prices are everything, and I think Iran understands that. The only language
this is the
that Trump
competing
really
interests.
understands is this.
This is the hard part. This is the hard part for the capitalists because they're not used to this. Usually all of their interests align all the time. Like it's like they're so unaccustomed to having two competing interests. They have on the one hand the Zionist like lobby and like all of the pro-Israel freaks who like will literally sacrifice life and limb. They will sacrifice, maybe not all of their money, but like half of their money for Israel. Like, and that's saying something. Like these people love money. Like that's their entire life is money. And so giving up half of it for Israel, like that's a big concession. But then you have the oil oligarchs on the other side who are like, dude, we can't make any money. Like what are we doing here? Like fuck Israel. And I mean, I think we know which side is going to win. Like there's a lot more like pro-Israel billionaires than I think than there are oil oligarchs, but it is just kind of funny to for once in their lives they're fighting against each other instead of forcing us workers to fight against each other.
Is money, is affordability, which is called a hoax, and which is advisors, I'm sure, every time die inside when he says that, and when he says things like, people can handle a little bit of pay a little more.
Because I've never gotten so many compliments.
I've never had so many compliments, sir. Just absolutely incredible.
I don't know. I don't know if I could handle it.
I weep with joy every time I pay more at the pump, just so that I can sacrifice on behalf.
Maybe I could afford it if more people showed up. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll go well in North Carolina.
Sorry, future
and
chat.
Texas.
Anybody watching the
Speaking
VOD,
of which, we're about to get to North Carolina and Texas, particularly to Texas, where there's some big primary election results.
Yep. So stick around. We're gonna have David Sirota and Dave Weigel talking about the results, and also out of Arkansas, like Arkansas,
Arkansas,
Thunderbolt. Like, oh, how about we?
My mom's from
put
Arkansas.
some Democrats on the Supreme Court.
Okay, so we learned about the oil prices. Now I'm gonna watch this video. It says Channel 4 News. I don't know what I honestly would be a little bit surprised if this aired in America. Maybe it will. And I keep saying you guys can't see this part. Let me scroll down just a little bit. So I have this playlist. It's called Content Filled, and this is where I do a little bit, just the bare minimum of prep for these streams. So, yeah, I take it back. I take it all back. I love chat. They're my best. I'm sure that they'll all show up one day and will forget that I had that unfortunate outburst. But so the next video that I wanted to watch was this. Iran is not interested in negotiating with Trump. This is Iranian professor Morandi. I sometimes watch him. He is he is basically a like I wouldn't say a propagandist technically. Like he's a propagandist for Iran though. Which Americans very rarely get to actually see. I mean, it's geared towards American audiences or English-speaking audience. He's like their spokesperson essentially to give the Iranian side of the propaganda. But I do think it's important that we view the propaganda of like all the like both countries, like both ours and theirs. I think a lot of people never even see what propaganda the Iran like side is trying to get to the American people. Um, and I usually like his I usually think that he gives like decent
Could you
analysis
explain
as
to me
well.
how?
Um, so anyway, we're gonna watch. We'll see if Iran is not interested in negotiating with Trump, as he says.
How do you think the Iranian military strategy is now playing out?
It's working quite well. Iran is hammering
I'm sure it
the
is.
Israeli regime in retaliation for its atrocities and its unprovoked war. And it's hammering.
Israel has shut down a lot of the like at first they let a few videos get out of some of the wreckage that happened from the Iranian ballistic missiles. I think they've completely shut it down now because they just kind of understand that nobody cares anymore. Like nobody really cares if Israel gets hit. Like everybody kind of just is aware that they're the primary cause of the problem, and so they don't show it anymore. But I think that it's pretty safe to assume that what was happening at the beginning is probably kind of what's happening right now.
U.S. positions across the Persian Gulf region for its atrocities and the unprovoked war. And there's been no let up in Iranian responses. And that is because Iranian missile and drone bases are all deep underground
That's
and
true.
inaccessible to the United States and the Israeli regime. And that's why they
That's
take
true.
revenge on ordinary Iranians. They've been bombing
Well,
Tehran and
that might not be the entire reason. Like, they also have like they every time they kill a school children, they get a hard on. Like, I don't know, they're pretty brutal people. Like the Israeli, IOF, Israeli Occupation Forces.
other cities, destroying homes, destroying hospitals,
I don't think that's supposed to
destroying
be in here.
schools, slaughtering children. In one instance, they murdered 165 girls, young girls,
Yeah, that
at
was
an
terrible.
elementary school who they've been buried today. So since they cannot
By
defeat
the way, America does not even deny that that happened. I think that they deny that it was them. I think they're trying to pin it all on Israel. Um, but like I always say, Israel is just an extension of America, so there's really not that much of a difference.
Iranian military, they take their revenge on ordinary Iranians.
It's clearly causing chaos in the Gulf states, particularly with the attacks on energy facilities. Is that part of the Iranian strategy
So is
to?
this airing in Tel Aviv? Is this maybe or no, they're just reporting from Tel Aviv and Channel 4. It's a British public broadcast service. Okay. That makes sense. I was like, I don't even think they ever let Morandi come on the American news networks. Um, so yeah.
Wage economic war as well?
No, Iran has not taken any responsibility for the strikes on the energy facilities, for example, in Saudi Arabia. That could be something carried out by the Israeli regime.
Oh,
But the Iranians
interesting.
have told tankers that they are not
I mean,
allowed
maybe.
to.
Always take it with a grain of salt. Like he said, like he's not a technical regime propagandist. He is a member of the essentially of the media of Iran who is supposed to go out there and you know give interviews to like English speaking news networks. Like I would equate him to just any random like CNN like like any random CNN analysis like analyst that comes in and just parrots the talking points of the State Department. Like that's basically how I would interpret him. So it's possible that that they didn't actually hit the Saudi Arabian oil fields, but it's also like possible that that they did, and they're just like strategically saying they didn't, so that like they can put a little bit of ambiguity if it was Israel or not who did it. Maybe trying to stoke the flames of like anger of the Gulf states towards Israel a little bit more, but I think they're already pretty pissed at Israel.
To leave the Strait of Hormuz. And when these Arab regimes in the Persian Gulf, when they give the United States military bases to use against Iran, then there are consequences. They cannot have their cake and eat it too. They cannot participate in aggression against Iran
I think I messed this
alongside
up.
this Epstein coalition and then sit back and say we're neutral.
Right, but you're not denying the other attacks, are you, in other Gulf countries which do affect energy supplies, and the oil price has gone up significantly. So I mean that does seem to be part of the Iranian military strategy, isn't it? I mean, to try and bring them into the war and regionalize it.
No, Iran has been
I don't think
targeting
they
US.
want to bring them into the war. I think that they're just like hitting, strategic places that will impose cost on America and Israel. And some of those are military bases, and some of them are just refineries that are being used to fuel those military bases,
Assets in the Persian
and a lot
Gulf.
of other things,
And those
obviously.
assets could be anything that's linked to the United States. The United States is bombing hospitals. The United States is bombing schools. The United States is bombing Iranian national radio and television alongside the Israeli regime. So U.S.
Yeah, I mean,
assets in the
the United States, like that's what they do. Like that's what Israel does. They specifically do target civilian stuff, especially because their explicitly stated goal is to collapse the regime and so as much chaos as they possibly can. Like they've said that that is their goal. So, or maybe they haven't said that last part, but like that's pretty obvious from their actions, like arming Kurdish militias, like doing all of that stuff. So like, yeah, the hypocrisy stuff, like he's arguing that like it's hypocritical, and it is obviously, but it's like I don't I don't even know if that's necessary at this point. Every Westerner knows that it's hypocritical at this point, I think.
Persian Gulf, they too will be attacked. But assets that belong to the states in the Persian Gulf region, they have not been touched by the Iranians. However, if they host US forces, because many of the soldiers have left their bases and been taken to hotels, the Iranians will target them. So at the end of the day, if they want this problem to end, they have to expel soldiers of the Epstein regime.
Now,
The
we
Epstein regime.
understand that the
Okay, I think that something, I might have messed something up by abandoning that quest. And I don't know how to fix it. Maybe, what do I do? Continue the campaign. So it's in Silver Moon. Okay. So that's up here. I think I can hearth to it. Okay, I'll figure it out.
Assembly of Experts is trying to appoint a new supreme leader. Could a new leader, do you think,
Maybe it'll be
negotiate with
Morandi.
Trump and agree to his terms?
No. Iran is not interested in negotiating with Trump or the US regime.
Oh, dude, he
Iran
should have ended it with terrorists. Bring it back. Bring it back to Iraq.
is going to punish the United States. And we are in the process of doing it.
Punish.
This regime in Washington has tried to cross a bridge that's a bridge too far. And they're messing with the wrong country. We're not Venezuela, we're not Iraq,
That's true.
we're not Libya, we're not Afghanistan, and we're not Syria. This is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and we will make sure that the United States regrets the aggression against the Iranian people and the slaughter of children,
Hey,
and
maybe.
the slaughter of innocent civilians,
Maybe we'll regret it.
and the murder of the leader.
It is all just their goals are different than our goals, right? Like there's always a difference. You should always view this through the lens of there's a difference between the offense and the defensive positions here. America's in the offense, and so our goals are very difficult to achieve. We have, if we're trying to collapse the state, and if we're trying to like without putting boots on the ground, like these are all things that like we've tried to do before with other places, and Iran's different, as you know, of course, but like we've tried to, you know, collapse or remove the Taliban in Afghanistan. We tried to collapse and remove the Viet Cong in Vietnam, and that was all with boots on the ground, and we failed. The goal of the defensive side is always just to survive. I think, I think they can. It's going to be very costly on them. There's going to be a lot of lives lost, and um, but you know, I'm keeping up hope because, and sometimes maybe people think that I'm like anti, well, in some regards, I'm anti-America because I'm anti-imperialist, and America is very, very much an imperialist country. If they stopped doing imperialism, I would probably be, you know, a little less anti-America or whatever, or like if they think I'm pro-Iran or something here. Um, and really, I'm just like pro people like having sovereignty, and I think that if America succeeds, Iran will never have sovereignty, at least not for like not until America is like a, you know, a speck in the dustbin of history. Like we'll just keep them destabilized indefinitely if Iran is not able to just survive this. So I think like if you are on the side of humanity, you should be pro-Iran in this situation.
These are crimes against humanity, and the United States and its allies have imposed the law of the jungle upon the world, and they will come to regret it.
But Iran is not a military superpower either, and we're seeing the vast majority of drones and missiles being shot down by air defenses. I mean, you know, surely Iran cannot win a military war and therefore has to go for some other kind of.
But like again, ask that same question about previous wars. Ask that same question about Vietnam. Ask that same question about Afghanistan. Who won those wars? Like, just ask that question. Who won those wars? In historical context, the Viet Cong, they won the War of Vietnam because they survived. And Afghanistan, the Taliban won against America because they survived. There's just different goals here. Like, if they were fighting a war of territory or something over like a border and they were like peers or something, like that would be different. Like, there's a possibility, like, that's more of like a even, like, that's not a superpower trying to take over a lesser power or whatever. That's just a fight over. That's kind of like just a fight over territory. So there will be like, you know, losers in a sense for that. If you want to compare it to something, look at something like Ukraine and Russia, where it is sort of like a territorial conflict of, you know, Ukraine is our proxy and the United States arms them and they fight against Russia, and there will be a loser there. There will be a loser there. Like that's a situation where there will be a loser because they will end up losing territory because this is just like a territorial conflict between, you know, powers. And yes, it's not like it's not a resistance operation, um, in the same way that this is. And so the people who are trying to resist the colonial takeover of their country, all they have to do is survive. If they survive, they win.
Strategy in coming to a settlement.
Iran will defeat the United States. Time will tell.
Time
And
will.
our drones that are being fired are very old drones. Our
They're still on
missiles
their
that are
old
being
ones.
fired are very old missiles. They're very inexpensive. And
That's
Americans
true.
are using up very expensive air defense
That's
systems.
also true.
The Iranians know exactly what they're doing. We haven't even.
That's a good point. That's great strategy. If he's telling the truth and they're still using their old, you know, shitty missiles from like 10 years ago or something, just trying to get rid of them, then using those to then get rid of all of the missile interceptors or as many as possible before they switch over to their newer, more advanced stuff, like that's a great strategy. Like maybe, you know, assuming he's telling the truth, like that could impose a huge cost on, in particular, Israel.
Begun using our latest technology, and most of Iran's underground bases have not even been used yet. They have not even been opened up for operation. The Iranians have been planning for this day ever since the invasion of Iraq. They knew that at some point the
They have
Epstein regime will go after
the
Iran,
Epstein regime.
and therefore they've been preparing themselves for many
Epstein
years.
versus Iran. Let's see who
We are
wins.
fighting for our homeland and our sovereignty and our independence, and our crime is that we oppose the genocide that the British regime and the American regime and Western regimes have been supporting. And we are on the right side of history, and the United States is the aggressor, and we will
Hey,
punish the aggressor and make it
that
regret
that all
its
tracks to me.
crimes against humanity.
What percentage of Iran's missile stocks remain?
The vast majority.
Vast majority.
Because after last year's war, it was estimated that Iran had used up around 40% of its missiles. Are you saying that was
Who
replenished
estimated
in
that?
the last few months?
Those numbers were always fake. Those numbers are provided by the Israeli regime to the media in order to
I
convince
mean,
foolish
this is
Americans.
where you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's probably somewhere in the middle. They're going to say that they had tons of them left. Israel's going to say that they were completely out. It's probably somewhere in the middle.
That war against Iran is simple. This war was supposed to end in a day or two. The 12-day war was supposed to bring Iran down like a house of cards. That failed, this failed, and now the United States will have to pay the price. And if the United States escalates, that will mean that the most sensitive region in the world, the Persian Gulf, where a quarter of the world's energy comes from, everything could be destroyed. And if that happens, it doesn't even matter if the Strait of Hormuz is open or closed, because there will be no oil or gas, and there will be no tankers. For Iran, this is a fight for survival. For the United States,
That's
this
what
is
I
a
was
war
saying.
of choice.
That's exactly what I was saying.
The American people by
Just
the
got to
extreme
survive.
class. We will expel the United States from our homeland, and we'll make sure that the United States never again thinks about aggression against our country. And we will not allow the Israeli regime to behave with impunity and to continue genocide
Hey, I hope
against the
so.
Palestinian people.
I hope so.
Isn't the truth, though, that a lot of Iranian people want to see this government toppled? We saw tens of
Yeah.
thousands taking to the streets.
It's just like, yes, there's a lot of unrest, or there's a lot of people who don't appreciate the Ayatollah, but like, I mean, I think that most of them at this point kind of understand that if they don't if they don't support like the IRGC at this critical juncture, like they're never going to have a state again. Like, it always creates a rally around the flag effect every single time that we attack, and so it becomes harder, not easier, to do regime change if that's what your goal is. Uh, like once you start attacking a country.
Streets just weeks ago, and many thousands of people were killed by the security forces. So public opinion is divided on this.
Don't believe your propaganda. That's
Yeah,
simple.
I agree with that statement. Don't believe your propaganda. Westerners love to believe their propaganda. They get so lost in the sauce. They get so like I don't know, just like up their own ass about their propaganda, and they believe every single word of it. I don't think if this guy, I say that he's like kind of a propagandist or whatever for Iran, like, um, if he is propagandizing, I don't think that he believes it, at least not nearly as much as like America does.
Well, we saw
I've
the
already had an
images.
interview. I've already spoken with your colleague. Though the people who were killed, 3,117 people were killed, hundreds were police officers
3,117.
and people who were patrolling the streets as volunteers.
85,000 people? According to Trump, it's 85,000 people were killed. No, I think he said 35,000, but I do think it's funny that the number just keeps going up. That's like so that's so Trump to do.
Hundreds of others were ordinary people that were murdered by these militants and these terrorists who
I
were
didn't even know that they actually gave an actual official count from the Iranian perspective of how many people died either. If they're saying 3,000, it's probably going to be closer to that. Similar to like, I don't know, like you can usually trust the you can I would just say you can usually trust foreign sources more than the American State Department just in general.
using weapons to kill. In your country, if they kill a single police officer, there'll be outrage. Here, they killed hundreds, including the volunteers. So this was no peaceful protest. And you know quite well, because I know you follow these things. In
Yeah,
Iran,
they were
on
armed by
February the
Israel too.
12th, we had millions of people on the streets of Tehran and tens of millions across the country rallying against the rioters. And on February the 11th, on the 47th anniversary of the revolution, we had millions of people again on the streets of Tehran and tens of millions across the country. And as we're speaking, across the country, as we're speaking now, you have millions of people in the streets of Tehran under, under bombardment, and in other cities under bombardment, commemorating the martyr Ayatollah Khamenei. So you can pretend all you want that Iranians want their country to be bombed. But at the end of the day,
And we do this
your
every time too.
policymakers, by believing their own propaganda, are going to hit their head once again against a brick wall. But this time, the price will be very high,
Need to go
and I
over
think
there.
it
What
will
do I need to do
bring
here?
about a change in global politics.
I'm not
Let's hope.
denying that huge numbers of people have come out in support of the government, but from your own account of the way people have been killed and were fighting in the streets effectively, um, the country is clearly divided to some degree, and there are many people who do not support the government. But
I
I'm not.
always say this though. You should always keep this in mind. Like, they say that like the people of Iran hate their government. Like that's the line that they keep giving. But when it's polled, they they like their leader. They liked Khamenei better than we like Donald Trump in our country. Like if you so I want you to imagine if it were us. Like if a group of people start bombing us right now under Donald Trump. Like sure, I'm sure there would be some people who would be out there like being like, yes, finally our liberation or whatever. But like I think the vast majority of Americans would, go full rah rah, like America's the best, like we must defend our homeland. Like so I think that you need to keep that in mind. Like he was more popular with his people than Trump is with our people.
Wonder, often in wartime, public opinion changes, and the acts of an outside aggressor can change public opinion. And I just wonder whether you think that might happen in Iran.
No, the strong majority
But the acts of an outside aggressor will change it so that they like their country more. Like if that's what he's saying.
of Iranians, even according to polls taken by the University of Maryland, for example, in the past, I don't know if they still carry out polls, but it shows that the strong majority of Iranians support the Constitution. And now that the United
Constitution.
States is murdering Iranians,
What's
many
that?
of those
Never heard of
youngsters
it.
who are on the streets who believe the fake Western narratives about human rights and dignity and freedom are watching children being slaughtered, and Western media is ignoring it, and Western governments are not even apologizing for it. And the British and the German regime, the German chancellor says there must be regime
Germany.
change in Iran. The German chancellor
Germany, I'm
first
telling you right now,
apologized.
if this escalates further, like into an actual world war, Germany will be the first one. They love going like I said if like they love being on the wrong side of history, and so they will be there like ready to join America and the American Israeli Nazi Party. They're like, let's go. Um, and also, like another thing to keep in mind, like Germany has recently been rearming, and Germany has historically rearmed before like every single world war. So, um, you know, just something to consider. Like it might happen.
Apologize to the people of Iran for giving Saddam Hussein chemical weapons to use against us that killed so many thousands of people.
Yeah,
The
a
German
lot of
regime
people
has
don't even
no
know that.
credibility and is in no
Americans,
position.
Americans. Sorry, I sometimes forget that not everybody understands these dynamics the same way that I do. Um, Most Americans don't even understand like that uh that Saddam Hussein like committed incredible heinous acts against against the country of Iran. Uh like I don't know. We always think of them like him as like our arch nemesis or whatever. Um and it is kind of like interesting that like he's also their arch nemesis. And it's always like one of those things where like the people we originally support or prop up always end up turning into like our enemies eventually or whatever. So
to talk about Iran. And the divisions that exist right now in your country and the United States are far greater than the divisions that exist in Iran. The people of Iran are united, and we will see that the United States will fail, and the United States will pay a heavy price. And
we'll
ultimately,
see. We'll see.
the
I hope
emperor,
so, man.
people will
I
see
mean, I
that
don't
the
hope we
emperor has no
pay a
clothes.
heavy price. I
The
hope that
United
we
States
just
bullies
stop.
country after
Like,
country. It
we don't
strangles
have to
Cuba.
pay any price for this,
It
but
takes the people of Venezuela hostage. It imposes Al Qaeda rule on the people of Syria. Iran was a bridge too far. Iran will show the Americans that they're messing with the wrong country.
well,
What
somebody
about the
has to.
competence, though, of your security apparatus? I mean, after the killing of the Ayatollah with so many senior figures, we have now seen that, again, the clerics have met in the Assembly of Experts building in Qom, and that has also been bombed. I mean, does it not strike you as very odd that senior Iranian figures are still meeting in known places where they can be targeted?
No, no one was in that building. Why do you believe this nonsense? And
See, that's one that I don't know.
senior military.
That's one that I'm like, man, they might have been in that building. Like, I mean, maybe they're not, but like, I don't know. That one I don't quite buy it, Mr. Morandi.
Military figures, except for in the office of the leader, a number of people who were killed, no one else was killed. And Ayatollah Khamenei said that I'm going to remain in my house because many people who are struggling cannot leave their homes. And I will stay
I
here
mean, he was
till the
like,
end.
I do kind of believe that. He was like 86. He was like, he probably wanted to die a martyr, to be honest. Like, it would have been, I think, a little anticlimactic for him to not die a martyr. So, and I think that he probably saw it potentially as a strategic, necessity for Iran to die a martyr. So, um, I don't know. I don't know.
Because of these people. And he stayed and he was martyred. That's not something that your leader would ever do.
Well,
But
true.
in
I
any
mean,
case,
Benjamin Netanyahu literally fled on a plane to Germany. So, like, yeah, that's definitely not anything our leadership would do. It is, like, in some sense commendable, like, if what I think happened happened. But,
we are seeing the Iranian armed forces effectively pushing back against this sinister superpower of our time and against this genocidal Zionist regime that continues to
ooh,
slaughter people in
he's not
Gaza,
gonna like that,
in
Brit
Palestine,
broadcaster.
and in Lebanon.
They don't like when
Simultaneously,
you
they're
put too
waging
much stank
war,
on the term
and Iran is
Zionist.
pushing them back. At the same time, we see that the government, despite the maximum pressure sanctions, we see that people have food, that there are no queues. So that is pretty significant, I must say. And your government, which has no sanctions and has no war, the regime in London is not proving to be very efficient nor very popular.
Just finally, I mean, the United States
I love
president.
when he goes after him though. When this is kind of why I like Professor Morandi, like when he goes after these dudes, like I don't know, he really like gets a little catty, like I don't know, it's kind of funny.
The Israeli Prime Minister killed the Iranian Supreme Leader. Will it now be the aim of the Iranian military and all its networks around the world to take their revenge on those individuals?
What the United States did.
They just think it's, I mean, it's so stupid. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, they're not trying to commit revenge. They want to achieve a strategic outcome. Like, it's like they always show how little they think of their opponents when they say stuff like that. They can never in any way comprehend that, like, oh, maybe these people actually like know what they're doing. Maybe they actually have a goal when they're trying to do this. And in the end, that's going to be America's downfall, overestimating themselves and underestimating their enemy. That's how it's been, throughout all of history.
Did was a crime against humanity. What it is doing is a crime against humanity. We have no expectations from the West, nor the Western media. Western elites for us are a bunch of worthless barbarians.
Yeah, fair.
Iranians will protect themselves. I do not know what Iran will do or its allies will do
I mean, we
across
are
the
run
world.
by like, a cabal of pedophile billionaires, so like I can't really deny what he's saying there. Okay, I'm done with Morandi. We're gonna go and watch the next video, which is going to be Pod Save America. I literally never watch Pod Save America. I think I tried once and it was relatively annoying, and I didn't really get anything out of it. But really, I was just looking for a video to see what libs thought about the most recent uh, the
All right, I'm
most
here with John Fadler
recent
because last
Democratic primaries. So I'm assuming they'll talk about it in here, Jasmine Crockett and stuff. So we'll see.
night was election night in America. We had elections in.
Oh, and I guess to set that up a little bit in terms of my views on Jasmine Crockett and Tallarico or whatever. Um, Both of them are, I would say, uh, not my ideal candidate. I trust them less than other sort of like progressive voices or whatever. I would say Tallarico is slightly better. Jasmine Crockett, like, while she's a really good speaker, and I think she's a very compelling speaker, she has very little, like, she's unable to translate that into political victories because of her lack of actual convictions and substance. In terms of like what she's fighting for, I never really understand like what her policy positions are on stuff, and I think that she's kind of like a little bit donor captured. So, but anyway, so I'm a little bit happy with the results that, in case you're unaware, Tallarico won the primary. I think he has a better chance of flipping the Senate in Texas blue, but that's still potentially a long shot. It's better. I'd say it's like 50-50.
In Texas, North Carolina, Arkansas. We are going to focus on Texas because there were two huge Senate primaries that will come to potentially decide the Senate. On the Democratic side, James Tallarico defeated Jasmine Crockett by about 7 points with 95% of the vote in. Let's look
Pretty
at a clip
decisive
from
victory.
Tallarico's victory speech, and then, John, I want to talk to you about the race.
Let's hear what Tallarico has to say.
This is a people-powered movement to take on this broken, corrupt political system. This is truly a campaign of, by, and for the people.
Good words.
We are not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. And it's working.
I hope so.
The number of young people who showed up to vote in this election is unprecedented. The number of Texans who have never voted before but showed up in this election is unprecedented. The number of independents and Republicans
that
who
is a
voted
good
in
sign.
this Democratic primary is
That's exactly why I think he's a better candidate against to like in order to defeat the Republicans.
unprecedented.
He's activating other donor
This is
or
proof
other bases
that there
of
is
support.
something happening in Texas.
All right, John, what do you make of his big win?
I think one of the biggest cliches in politics right now is that Democrats want someone who fights because voters like strength. And I think that cliche suffers from a failure to define what fight means in the context of politics. Fighting can mean rhetorically kicking the shit out of Donald Trump and Republicans in a way.
So that's Jasmine Crockett. She rhetorically beats the shit out of them, but she never has the policy to follow up with.
That gets you attention and satisfies and sometimes thrills partisan Democrats like us, who are always going to vote
These guys.
Democrat.
I knew that they would love
Fighting can also
Jasmine.
mean kicking the shit out of rich and powerful interests that
Yeah.
are running the country and that are screwing people over. So that you are fighting
that's the fight that I'm in for. Kicking the shit out of billionaires. Like if someone ran a campaign on like we're just gonna let you like every week we're going to take one of our billionaires and we're just going to put them in the stocks. Like we're going to put them up on the town square and you can just come up and just throw tomatoes at them and like just yell at them like and just like tell them what a piece of shit they are. Like if someone ran on that policy platform, like I think that they could win over, the entire country.
them and fighting on behalf of people who feel like they are not being heard, like they've been screwed over by their government, like they can't trust their government. And I think those two things are different. And I think, I don't want to oversimplify it, but Jasmine Crockett's
He's given bummer energy though. He's really given bummer energy. Like I don't know. I think that he was rooting for Jasmine Crockett if I had to guess.
campaign was very much the first kind of fighting. It was mostly about how she takes on Donald Trump. It's mostly about how she's tough and
We're past that
Republicans
now.
don't like her, and so she's gonna, she's
way
gonna
past that
kick
now.
the shit out of Trump and all that. And I think the risk of that kind of campaign is it also makes it about you and you beating Republicans and you beating Donald Trump. And what voters actually care about is what's going on in their lives and who's going to fight for them. And I think that what Tallarico did.
Okay, but it's both. They care about both. Voters, like especially Democratic primary voters, care about both. And they seem to think that there's some like difference here. That like the person who fights for your individual needs and what you want is not going to fight back on Trump. But that's not how the average voter sees it. The average voter thinks that the person who will fight for me and will fight for my material conditions is going to be the one who does fight back against Trump. And that's where Jasmine Crockett got kind of screwed, is she thought that by just trying to fight against Trump, like people like would think that that means that she's going to fight against Trump, like by rhetorically fighting against Trump. She thought that that's all she needed to do. But people thought, well, she's not really talking about the billionaires. She's not really talking about APAC. Like, she's not really showing that she's going to fight against these entrenched interests. And if she's not going to fight against those, how is she going to fight against Trump? Like, and I think that that's where these two might be a little bit confused. Like, they're not one or the other. It's like if you fight for the people, then people will think you will fight against Trump, especially in Democratic primary.
Was and when we heard that a little bit in that victory speech, is he talked about not just winning an election but changing politics and upending the system. And it's still pretty. I mean, he talked a lot in his campaign about, like, even though he's very religious, he talked about like Jesus going into the temple and flipping over tables, and
He is very
he
like
talked about like fighting.
he's very like well, I don't know, like choir boy coded to me. Tallarico is. Like or like who are those people who like go down the aisle like holding those like candles or whatever? Like he reminds me of one of those guys. Like if he put on the robes, like I could see him doing that. He definitely did that like at some point as a kid. Like I would put money on it.
Rich and powerful interests, and so I think that helped him. But I think I just think that the view that we just have to say bad things about Donald Trump and Republicans, and like the more you do that,
Pass
and
that.
the tougher it is, the stronger you are, and the better off you are. I just don't think it's borne out by actual.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy we're finally past it, man. Everybody thought if we just talk about Donald Trump enough, then we're gonna get elected. And finally, they're like, okay, I guess that doesn't work. Like, I guess we gotta talk about people's material conditions. Like, oh, we gotta improve people's lives now. Talk about how we're gonna improve people's lives. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's what government is. That's the whole point.
Yeah, this one's a really hard one to analyze because there are two dimensions of
They're
analysis.
they're so buttered, dude. They wanted Jasmine Crockett to win so bad.
There's who voted, like in what percentages, like what parts of the country, what parts of the state, and then there is why they voted. And we don't have a good answer why people voted because there are no exit polls. For even as imperfect as they are, they can tell you some
Exit
basic
polls, man.
things. Like I think a lot of the way this race was framed.
I don't need exit polls. I got my gut. I think my gut knows better than exit polls.
Originally was framed as liberal versus moderate, and then that was a very imperfect thing because actually it's kind of the same positions, and maybe technically on this few issues, Tallarico is actually slightly to the left of
Yeah.
Crockett, mainly because he's a
probably
state
why he
senate,
won.
state rep. She's a congressman. Like interest would give money to her, but didn't
He was probably perceived that way, and that's probably why he won.
don't like that's all sort of a theoretical conversation.
In terms of like electoralism, also, and these guys they might be starting to get it as well, but Democrats always had this idea that like pivoting to the center and moderation would always be the better candidate, but or like would always do better in the actual vote against the Republicans or whatever. Um, But Americans' concept of politics is so distorted. Nobody has any clue of like what actual left-right dynamics are. Like if you ask the average person, they would say that they think that Kamala Harris is like the most left communist person who has ever ran for president. Like they literally think like Kamala Harris is like a communist. And then you ask them about Bernie Sanders and they're like, oh, he seems pretty cool. He's like, he's probably like a moderate. Like, I like some of his policies. So they think he's like a moderate. Like they literally think Kamala Harris is left of Bernie Sanders. And that's where like you cannot like ever this strategy was always doomed to fail, this pivot to the like mythical moderate or whatever. Um, but like I think we're finally starting to see like that rhetorical device like fail, and that's good. We're fine like because now we can start instead of talking about like who's like pivoting to the middle or whatever, we can just talk about improving people's material conditions, which it will be a left-leaning position or whatever. Um, and yeah, I just we need to keep that momentum going. Like nobody should ever be pivoting to the center. That's failed 3 times in a row at this point. Like we got to stop doing that.
But very essentially the same. Right? This is not a
I didn't hear.
Bernie candidate versus a new Democrat or anything like that. It's two kind of like down the line on politician Democrats. And then, so that didn't really work, even though it's pretty clear that Tallarico's attitudinally more moderate. Like he talks about reaching out to the Republicans, and Crockett is known for taking on Trump. And then the other question is
rhetorically
between a fighter and the more electable candidate. And that I think that also fails here because we just don't know. Mm-hmm. Like we don't have an exit poll question that says, "Is electability your number one issue?" And then
they probably still think that Jasmine Crockett is more electable. I do not think so. They can't get rid of it. I was just saying we need to get rid of this shit. If you ever hear someone say that a certain like if you ever see any of these centrist liberal types say that like this person is more electable, always assume it's the exact opposite. They are the least electable. Like Gavin Newsom right now, they're talking about him for his, like his anointment to presidency that he's going to have in the future or whatever. Like he is not electable. He is not electable whatsoever. Like they I don't know. They're just, and at least I think the people are starting to understand that their ideas of what's electable or not is bullshit.
Other people who prize electability, do they overwhelmingly pick one candidate or the other? We don't have that data. And I was really struck listening to Sarah Longwell's focus group podcast episode this past week where she talked to Democrats about this.
The Pod Save America bros. Oh, Gavin Newsom. I was like, why are they texting you? I thought maybe they had like a list or something. Oh yeah. I mean, Gavin Newsom, I swear if they do to him what they did to Kamala and just anoint him the primary winner, like I'm going to lose my mind. Like like it's done so. Like this country's over if that happens.
Race, and everyone cared about electability. They just had different definitions of it. And Tallarico supporters looked at Tallarico and said, you can reach out to Republicans.
Yeah, we do have different definitions of it. Your definition is wrong and my definition is right.
He talks about his religion. He's someone who could persuade my MAGA curious uncle. And so he's the more likely one. Then you talk to Crockett supporters and they weren't saying like, man, I just want
talk about it like it's a sexuality. That's so funny.
When who's going to take on Trump? They were saying, I think she's more electable because she's tough. She's not afraid. She can generate attention. She can fire people up. And like that was their definition for electability. So we don't really know that. Like what you can take, like when I look at this race, the way Tallarico won is pretty clear. He did very well with Latino voters. Like we don't have exit polls, but you can look at how he overwhelmingly won in the Latino heavy counties.
Is Tallarico Catholic?
Valley, and then how he did in the Latino heavy precincts in major cities like Fort Worth, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston.
Austin,
like that's the path. Yeah.
Yeah, like he blew out the cities.
Yeah.
He blew them out,
other
dude.
than Dallas.
Other than Dallas, which is their home base. But yeah, no, I think it is hard to get into the demographics and what different people want. He also one, like a lot of
They love their
you could tell
demographics,
that
dude.
a lot of the younger voters.
The over analyzing, that's just they have to do that because like the obvious answer is the simple answer, and if it's too simple, then they don't have a job really. So, um, but the simple answer is just ask people what they want, give people what they want. That's the simple answer.
And again, you don't have exit poll data, but like in just counties where they're generally younger counties,
College towns,
yeah, he was doing well there as well.
And he blew out Travis County, which is where Austin is. It's his home base.
Yes, right.
But also a lot of college students.
Blew it
Well,
out,
the other
man.
thing from that long, well focus group, and also from all the polls, from all the reporting on the ground, is this was an extremely contentious race online, and
Oh
most
yeah,
Texans
the identity
who went
politics.
to go vote in this primary really liked both candidates.
Yeah.
And
that-
which is
and both-
and that is a
Are they going
lesson
to talk
not
about the
for
identity
all
politics?
of
They
us.
better.
We can go. Everyone can keep fighting online. There's plenty more primaries that'll have you fight online even harder, maybe.
They're probably not even going to talk about it.
Candidates and the campaigns to fucking shut that off, and like the fights that are going on online, like Tallarico largely did not pay attention to those. And the
Good
Crockett
strat.
campaign very much did. I don't even think the Crockett
Yeah,
campaign
okay.
is
So what they're trying to say, and they're being very, very obtuse about it. I don't really know why they're being so obtuse about it. Is uh, they really Jasmine Crockett's campaign, I think, really leaned into like identity politics, is my understanding. And maybe I'm wrong. I didn't pay a ton of attention to this, but online it seemed like there was a lot of talk about, you know, like not respecting, black women and all that sort of stuff. And I think that they just kind of identity politics from Democratic establishment, like politicians who don't feel like they're actually going to fight for, like, I don't know. I just think that era of like holding up identity as a shield is kind of a little bit over, or maybe not completely over, but like um, it's over. It's not ever going to be as pertinent as it was before because like we just don't have the time. We don't have the time. It's if we're living through fascism. We don't have the time to deal with like with like all these like identity politics like arguments of like, oh, he said I'm like, I thought I was going against a uh, average black man or whatever, like, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I hope that we're getting, further and further away from the peak of just identity politics for identity politics sake, or for not standing for anything real sake, I guess.
attention to them really mattered. But like, Jasmine Crockett talking about Liz Smith towards the end of the race. I don't think that I don't think most Texans knew about that, first of all, and if they did, they'd be like, huh?
I didn't know about that.
At the very
Her-
least,
her
you can
per
say
se.
it is like
Yeah.
it is taking you off the message that you need if you want to win a race.
Pod Save America breaking news is brought to you by
ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter. What's the latest trend in
I
hiring?
don't want to get
And
recruited for
Paxton
Pod
in
Save
West
America,
was
bro.
the
Probably
most
kill
expensive
myself.
Senate primary in history and one of the nastiest. And because no candidate got to 50%, guess what? It's not over yet. We
They're
have
talking about
another
the
2.5
Republican
months
side.
worth of campaigning.
Amazing.
And to give you a sense of what Texans are in for, I want to show you this
I don't know
app.
if I care that much about the Republican primaries, so once I'll let it play, but once I finish this boss, I'm probably going to change it.
Ad that the Cornyn folks ran right before the primary.
It's voting time, so let's cut through the bullshit. Crooked Ken Paxton cheated on his wife. She's divorcing him on biblical grounds.
Biblical
Now Paxton's
grounds.
wrecking another home, sleeping around with a married mother of 7. And remember this, Crooked Ken has increased his net worth by as much as 7,000% since taking office.
I'm sorry, this is hilarious. Like, political ads in America are so funny. They always follow the exact same format, and they're always so like, fuck this guy. This guy sucks. Like, he'd kill your mom if he got in the same room as her. And I'm just like, I don't know. we've seen better ways to do this. Like Zoran Mamdani showed, just ask people what they want and then tell them you will give them what they want. Like it's really not that hard.
Sections in office, even more troubling. Paxton gave millions of Texas tax dollars to left-wing organizations, including the Montrose Center. They host drag queen shows.
Hell yeah.
Gender-affirming services to kids as young as
drag queen in every kindergarten. That's my policy position.
I'll think of the Paxton dirty deeds we don't know about yet. The wife cheater and fraud, or the Texas workhorse.
Oh, badass.
John Cornyn is endorsed by the
Look at him. Look at that hat. Look at those jeans.
99% of the time.
He's a big old cowboy boy.
The damn wall.
So masculine.
I'm John Cornyn, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
In a result that surprised a lot of people, Cornyn actually did better than Ken Paxton. People assume Ken Paxton would get more votes. Cornyn did better.
Ken Paxton's a legacy name. I know him.
Was very far
at least.
Distant third. He's now out of it, so it'll be Cornyn and Paxton to the end. What do you make of this race? And
I gotta be fucking this up.
Cornyn,
this boss.
Perceived by most to be the more.
People don't give me enough credit. Okay, it's hard to both play World of Warcraft at the same time as give commentary, and I do think that someday when I have more people in here, I will probably have to give up playing World of Warcraft so I can just give pure commentary. But that day is not today. Wow, thank you. I do hard things.
Did better than people expected.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, pod save. They weren't as annoying this time as usual. They were being like little Debbie Downers about Talrico winning, but I don't know. They gave me enough space. Well, actually, I guess I probably did get a little annoyed with them. Who am I lying? But anyway. Let's see. I think that next I'm going to do this Michael Wolf, man. Dude, I am the worst with names. I am so bad at names. Like, I mix names up all the time. I add letters where they're not supposed to be there. Like, I switch first names and last, like, I don't know. This is just something you'll have to deal with if you end up, if you're watching this.
Welcome, friend.
But anyway, we're going to watch Richard Wolf discuss another war likely lost. So this is back to Iran war content. He's gonna, I'm assuming, talk about the declining American empire like he always does, and I'm, always here for it. But okay. So let's see what Richard Wolf has to say about America's war with Iran and how it's likely already lost.
And to another Wolf response.
I'm gonna turn him up just slightly.
I call this one Iran, a likely losing war, or if you like, another war likely lost.
Richard Wolf is one of those people. If you don't know, he's an economist at, I think he was at Harvard. But he's like one of the only Marxist economists that they like allow to teach in America. I don't know what he did right. I don't know what he did to like be allowed to say the things that he does in classrooms. I do think that the schools tend to be very hesitant to allow people of like Marxist tradition to to teach their Econ 101 kids or whatever. But anyway, he's also like 112, as you can see. But one of my favorite things about him is that he does have like, he has so many based opinions, but he says it in like the most like old grandpa sort of way. So the juxtaposition of him like just, being like, America sucks, it's dying, like the empire's dying, everybody needs to just realize and acknowledge it. But then he just like looks like this. I mean, look at this face. Like, that's how he's allowed to teach. Look at this. How could you ever get mad at this guy?
I want to put the Iran war started unilaterally by the United States and Israel a few days ago, first of all, into historical context, because that is so rarely done. Since the
Never
end
done
of
in
the
America.
Second World War, The United States has engaged in 4 major wars: Korea, Vietnam,
Iraq,
Afghanistan,
and
and Iraq.
Yep.
The war.
And forgive my pronunciation on Middle East countries. I grew up in the Midwest. Around here, we say Iraq, we say Iran. um, I'm trying to get a little bit better at like pronouncing them right, but that's just, it is what it is.
War in Korea ended in a stalemate. The United States did not win. It divided Korea in half, which is why we still have one country called North Korea.
North Korea, the one country we can't fuck with, the one that got away, man. America is always looking longingly at North Korea. Like, man, I just wanna. It's like like an ex that like you just want to call and like you just want to go over there and fuck with and destabilize. But it's like, but like they got like they got a new boyfriend now, and his name is Nuke. his name is nuclear armed, and like if you fuck with North Korea, like they're just gonna sick nuke on you, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Poor America, the one that got away.
South Korea. The second war in Vietnam, the United States simply, and I want to use the English word here, lost.
True.
The enemy in that war was the Communist Party of North Vietnam. Who runs Vietnam today is the Communist Party of North Vietnam. They won.
How'd they beat us? They're communists. I thought capitalism was better. How did they beat us?
United States lost. In Afghanistan, the next war, the enemy was the Taliban. Who runs Afghanistan today? It's the Taliban. The U.S. lost. In Iraq, there's a constant liquid kind of shifting of who's in charge. Kind of hard to pinpoint who won. But it's clear who didn't. The United States didn't win and isn't about to. So when I say Iran, another war likely lost, you can see why historically this is a country that ought not to be anywhere near so quick on the trigger as this case of Iran. Iran couldn't threaten the United States. It has no way to do that. And if it did do it, would suffer a consequence no rational government would do.
Yeah, they would never do it. They would never. No state will ever attack us. Like, we have so much military. No state will ever attack us. Anybody who says that they're going to attack us is lying. No state will ever attack us. Now, groups will. Like, I'm sure that this adventurism in Iran is going to create an incredible amount of instability that will lead to, new terrorist groups and formations that are, going to try to target as individual actions, like attacks on America. And they might succeed with those, who knows? But no state who, like, is representing a large group of people is going to attack America. That's just silly.
But the United States and Israel went ahead anywhere.
And that's also why there's no such thing as a preemptive strike from America. And also, well, there should be no such thing as a preemptive strike at all. Like, it's stupid. Like, that should be illegal under all circumstances, no matter what. But I think it is in the UN Charter that if you know there's an imminent threat, then you can do it. But particularly for America, there will never be, like, no state will ever attack us. There is no such thing as a preemptive strike by America.
Anyway, and I want to look at that. War is a terrible scourge. It kills mostly people who have nothing to do with it, what we like to sometimes call civilians. And that is already the case in Iran after even only a couple of days. It leaves lifelong scars on entire populations, especially when the war happens in their own country. But as we have learned,
it never seems to happen in our country. Has America ever been in a defensive war? I mean, at least like post like founding. Like I well, I guess if you count, I guess maybe that's not true. There was like the War of 1812 and uh World War II, I guess technically. Very rarely, I guess. We're very rarely in a defensive war. Very rarely is the home front being attacked.
More American soldiers died after those wars I mentioned by suicide than were killed in the actual combat. That's what I mean by horrible consequences. I want now to turn to what are the likely consequences of Iran, some of which you will not hear a word about in the mainstream media, some you will, but not in the way or to the extent I'm going to do in the next few minutes. Okay, this is another American war on a Muslim country.
Classic. We love to do it.
You know, like Iraq, like Afghanistan. It is important to understand that in many parts of the world...
This is something that I think a lot of... that I kind of want to like talk about is the kind of correlation between... I'm supposed to go. Sorry, I'm in another boss fight all of a sudden. The correlation between like our attacks on Muslim countries and like kind of I don't know how many people have read like about like indigenous people's history in America, but I see like so many similarities every time that we go after these Muslim countries and how we try to like break them apart and like get them to fight against each other and all this stuff and like the strategies that we use. And it always makes me think of like what we did to the indigenous people of America. The strategies just seem to be like the exact same. And I guess in the end, it's all, colonization or whatever. Like, but I don't know. I see such a parallel there that it makes, that's why like I always have like a soft spot for, like, while I'm not really religious, like for Muslim countries in particular and their religion as a tool of like resistance or whatever. I don't know. I just like particularly they just get a little bit of a special place in my heart or whatever compared to like some other countries.
The United States has to live with. Many more people on this planet are Muslim than are American.
True.
Many times more. It is therefore risky to keep killing Muslims. The four countries I mentioned, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan.
Yeah, one day it'll have to stop. Like one day it will be impossible to maintain. I can't wait till we get to a more multipolar world, and this like shit will have to like, at least significantly reduce.
And Iraq would be listed among the 10 poorest countries on the face of the earth, both at the time of their wars with the United States and today still. Maybe not true for Vietnam, which has come back with quite a stunning economic growth record.
Yeah, Vietnam's impressive.
But the United States was always the most militarily powerful country in the world, and it could not win against four of the poorest countries in the world who had a small or non existent Army, Navy, and Air Force. Mostly non existent. Think about that, please.
And that was with boots on the ground.
Wars are mostly about the domestic problems.
Yeah. War. This is another thing nobody understands. Is war is like a brutal test of endurance, and it is all about manufacturing. It is all about supply lines. It is all about the boring, mundane shit of just like maintaining, you know, like basically just like the boring, mundane shit of like keeping people alive, like getting the resources where they need to be, get like, all that sort of stuff. Um, Nobody in America even pictures like war that way. They picture war as like something they've seen in a movie, as like quick battles that will, turn the tide, and then everything, you come home victorious and you get to kiss your girl or whatever. Like, um, that is not what it is. It is a very boring slog of like brutal hell that like we just subject our people to, and it all depends on manufacturing capabilities, which we have none of. um and it just, yeah, who can outlast the other, that's what it is.
Of the countries that go to war. Typically, the leaders
He
who
talks
get
a little
us
slow,
into
so I'm going to
wars,
speed it up a
or
little.
to get anybody into wars, are trying by a war with another country to overcome their own domestic difficulties. That's why you can't
Epstein.
trust most of what governments say. That's why a famous journalist, and I wish I knew exactly who it was, maybe one of you can enlighten me, but a famous journalist a few years back wrote that fantastic line, and I quote, "The first casualty in every war is the truth. The two sides tell lies.
Of course.
They enhance their victories and they hide their defeats.
Propaganda.
The U.S. doesn't do that alone, but the idea that the U.S. doesn't do it is beneath humor, let alone contempt."
The difference is that Americans believe their propaganda significantly more. I think that's the primary difference.
What would be the domestic problems that Mr. Trump is trying to cope with by making a war on Iran?
Major
and
cope.
Make no mistake, Israel doesn't decide. It's Mr. Trump and the advisors around him who made the decision.
I mean, Israel doesn't decide entirely, but they do decide. And also, like, they got that shit on him, like they got pictures of him like in a vault somewhere. So, but like, yes, they don't decide by themselves. Like, I do not believe that. The way I always say is that Israel is just an extension of America. They're just another colony of America.
Well, here we go, and this you will know. The economic system of the United States is in very deep
capitalism. I know
not enough jobs.
We love it.
Not enough housing.
We love it.
The cost of food is driving many people over the edge.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite system of production. Is capitalism. Of all these things, yeah, they're amazing. I gotta put my chud hat on.
Like hunger anymore, so we call it food insecurity. Yeah, but we all know.
Hey, that's the price you gotta pay. That's the price you pay for freedom, baby.
In November, Mr. Trump faces a terrible problem that the Democratic Party, all of its wings, progressive, centrist, have made affordability a weird, indirect word that could and should be replaced by too much month at the end of the money. That's a problem, and Mr. Trump could lose.
Mamdani really crushed it. Mamdani really crushed it with that affordability message. It is like completely engulfed the entire country.
And many of the polls show that. And now perhaps
but it is a hoax.
At least
don't believe your lying eyes. It's a hoax.
The patriotic gore of cheering on a war, or at least focusing on it, having the headlines of the evening news all about it, instead of all about the economic system that isn't providing.
One thing that was crazy to me is that they did end up going through with the exact same like propaganda machine that they did before, like with Iraq. Like it was the same people, the same like amount, like 24/7 trying to pump the propaganda message, and it just failed. Like it failed so hard. Like I would be curious to know the dollar amount of like how much they spent on that propaganda, but but yeah, that shit did not work.
Food, clothing, shelter in an affordable way to the mass of the people, let alone adequate health care and insurance, let alone adequate education, etc. Mr. Trump has much to distract us from the economy, and a war maybe can do it for him. Then we have Mr. Trump's other problems. The headlines each day are full of the horrors of Epstein.
Okay, it did update.
And all that it means about that class of very rich,
Epstein.
privileged people. A tiny part of our population, but then again, the rich employer class, or what some are coming to call the Epstein class.
The Epstein
is
class.
a very small part of our population.
The capitalist class.
1, maybe 2%. 3, maybe 6 million people out of a population of 330 million. They're taking too much space in the headlines. But the horror of what they committed has to be confronted, because it's not just about them, it's about a society that makes this happen over and over again. Some more.
Americans
some
might be
less
ready to confront
horrible.
it, maybe.
Some more caught, some less caught. Some more openly displayed before us, some less so. Certainly those who are involved go a long way, as Epstein did too.
Stein.
To not get caught, to stretch it out over decades that he was doing all of that, and buying off the political support, the elegant people who could mask who and what he was, the lawyers and the judges and the prosecutors.
It's the price of freedom, though. That's the price of freedom. You're not like, if you're like, how are if you start restricting the billionaires from being able to like import import like 12-year-old Russian girls into their house and then commit heinous atrocities to them and then pass them off to all your billionaire buddies and have them also commit heinous atrocities to them. Like, if we take away that freedom of theirs, who's to say that one day they might come for you whenever you want to, I don't know, buy like a 64-ounce Coke at the gas station or something? What if they say no? They're like, no, you can't have that. If we're not allowing our billionaires to, to diddle kids, like, you're not allowed to have your 64-ounce big gulp. And because of that reason, we just got to let it happen. I'm sorry, guys. That's just the way it is.
He has a lot not to have on the front page, and a war is a distraction from a domestic problem for this government. And then there's the reality that Mr. Trump's government has been plunging in all the popularity polls.
Yeah, everyone hates him.
Do you support the president? Do you believe
not
the president
everyone,
is
but
doing a good job? Are the Republicans in power managing that in a good way? The polls are unambiguous. They don't all get the exact same number, but they all get the same direction. And that direction for the president is down. That's even part of why the Supreme Court, his party dominates it, 6-3, saw 3 of the 6 usual conservatives abandon Mr. Trump on his single most important economic program, the tariffs.
Yeah, it's a symbol.
And his action in
it's a symbol that he's losing power.
Imposing them unconstitutional. Mr. Trump doesn't want us to think a lot about that. That's why he was up the next day talking about new tariffs, as if he could undo what the Supreme Court had just done. He cannot. And that will become clearer as we get down the road. And all of this, Iran is.
I'm still waiting, man. I'm still waiting for my refund from the tariffs. I don't know when I'm gonna get it. I'm sure he'll send it out someday. I'll get my my $1,500 someday. Someday.
Let me close by now telling you about the consequences of the Iran war that are, strictly speaking, economic and will touch every one of you.
Economic consequences. The only consequences we ever face.
First of all, the price of oil jumped up by over 10% this morning. Wow.
I should have filled up my car, man.
Continue in future.
If only I got the heads up. I should have been watching the Kalshi prediction markets, like, to see that we were going to go to war with Iran. I should have filled up my car beforehand. Such a mistake.
Mornings. But even if it just rose 10% in a morning, wow. You know what that means? The price of gasoline, which comes from the oil, will have to go up. Why? Because the refineries, the big oil companies, they don't want to have to eat the cost of rising oil that they buy to make it into gasoline.
They hate eating cost.
Price on to you and to me. And you know, the price of oil and gas is raised by the refineries as we get into the summer driving season anyway. It's a profit maximizing tool that they use at our expense, but we're supposed to pretend that doesn't happen. It's just a coincidence what the price of gasoline does every summer. But now we'll have an extra one. They'll have to raise the price not only to make their profit goals, but now to compensate for the rising price of oil. That's a consequence of the Iran attack by the United States and Israel. Here's another one.
Let's hear it.
Natural gas. In much of the world, energy is provided not by oil, but by a different resource.
That's the one that's going to suck.
Natural gas brought up from under the surface of the planet and then compressed and cooled so it can become a liquid form of that gas. It's called liquefied natural gas, or LNG. The price of that over the last couple of days has gone up, get ready folks, by 30 to 35% around the world. Why? Because it turns out that a lot of that gas, that LNG form of it, passes through the Straits of Hormuz, which are an area that the Iranians can make unpassable for ships. You know, the way the Houthis have been doing for 2 or 3 years already. And the
Iranians, that was another one we lost, by the way. We lost against the Houthis as well.
Are better at it, better.
Never officially called a war, but, like, let's be real.
Much more numerous, much stronger. Natural gas going up 30 to 35% will have the following consequence. It will make the cost of natural gas everywhere, including in the United States, where large parts of our country heat their homes with it, run their factories with it, produce electricity with it.
I think we do here.
More expensive.
I could be wrong on that, though.
Well, you know who suffers the most? Europe. They depend utterly, and they've been
Europe is fucked.
Germany.
Europe is so screwed. Like, when it comes to energy, like, they're gonna be, they will need Russia. They will be begging Russia. They'll be like, Russia, please, please, we'll do anything. We'll give you all of Ukraine. Just take it all. Just please give us some oil, please.
And he is in the middle of a recession.
I'm just kidding. That's not actually what's going to happen. They might try to get it from Russia. If America might be forced into allowing that to happen, because, like, normally they would try to discipline them, but it might just be too much for the Europeans to, like, have another energy crisis on top of their already existing energy crisis.
And Germany was the powerhouse economy of all of Europe. All of Europe is growing much slower than the United States.
No growth.
Which means even more slow
relative. Tariffs are winning. Tariffs are winning for the United States.
To China and India, who outgrow Europe and outgrow the United States almost by equal measure. But the United States is ahead of Europe. It's one of the things you hear Mr. Trump say, because he can't say much about the troubled economy of the United States. He has to go about cherry-picking his statistics in an extraordinary way.
Get that beef down, dude. Beef's too expensive. I'm American. I'm an Amerifat. I need my beef. I need my burger. I promise I will be pliant. I will be a pliant little tool of empire. I will be so docile. Like, I will stop I will stop talking about how capitalism is the scourge of the world, and I will become a just a nice little stooge for the American imperial machine if you just give me burger, please. Give me burger.
Trouble is they decided that they would, the Europeans now, punish Russia for invading Ukraine by refusing to buy Russian oil and gas. That meant all the European users of oil and gas had to buy it and find it from somewhere else, usually much further away than Russia, which is part of Europe. And so the price of energy went up, and therefore the price of everything else in Europe went up, and therefore the rest of the world, including Europeans, stopped buying the European product because the price had been raised too high. And now the U.S. war in Iran is going to make the cost of energy in Europe even higher than its already crippling level had been.
You gotta eat
because
it.
of the
That's
Ukraine
yeah.
war.
You're all the middle powers, all the lower powers, unless you want to do something. Unless you want to do something, you gotta eat it. That's the way empire works. You're all our vassals. You're all vassalized. Like you gotta just eat these costs. Sorry.
Europe
I
is
didn't make the system. I'm a part of it. I live here, but I didn't create the system.
in a long-term decline. The United States is at the beginning. They lost their empires a century before we now are losing ours. They
Poor
don't have
Great Britain.
wiggle room. They don't have the ability to go with this new punch in the gut. And that's what Mr. Trump has delivered to them. On top of the tariffs, on top of the
Probably hurt his hand
disrespect
if he tried to
that
punch
is the
somebody
number
right now.
one topic of
It's like
conversation
105.
among honest Europeans over the last year. This will worsen the collapse of the American-European alliance. It will disrupt
Yeah.
this rising price of oil
At some
and
point,
gas.
it's just when is it going to happen? I figured it would have happened by now. That the Europeans would have broken from America, like, and stopped being such, like, you know, little, like, docile vassals or whatever. Like, I honestly didn't think it would get to this point. They're just humiliating themselves day after day after day, and it's like, when will they stop? Now, Spain broke. Spain is the first one so far that actually broke, but they would be a lot better if they all broke as the EU and said, we're done with this. We're not participating in it. We're over. Like it's fine. Russia will come to the table. Like America's out. Like we're gonna come negotiate your peace with Ukraine. Fuck America. Like if they did that, I mean, at some point they're going to have to do that. There's no other option. Like we're not going to suddenly turn around and be like done invading countries like after Iran. Like
This war lasts, the more these impacts will flow. This is a disaster. And you should wonder, you, my American audience, more than those of you that are not
Ooh,
here
that's
in the
me.
United
He's talking to
States.
me. And you
Virtually
probably.
no real honest discussion. Mr. Trump couldn't do it because it would create such doubt, such questioning, such scratching of the heads. Why do this if we're not under threat? Why risk all of this?
That's what I'm saying.
He can't answer those questions. That's why he didn't bring it before us, the American people.
Tell me the answer.
That's why he didn't bring it before Congress, the people we elect, who, under the U.S. Constitution, are supposed to make the decision whether or not to go to war.
Constitution's
Because
Constitution.
it is so dangerous, because it is so risky, and because it's risky for all of us, not just the handful who made the fateful decision. Iran, another war likely to be
I might have
lost.
missed something at the beginning there, but yeah, I agree. We're gonna lose eventually. But we lose, but the billionaires win. That's how it always works. The people lose, the billionaires win.
So to me, I
Last
needed
one. We're gonna
Trump
have
as
some fun. Time to get off all that boring shit. We are going to watch a too lazy to try video. Um, I love this guy. He is my role model, my icon. One day I want to be him because all he does is he takes a bunch of videos, throws himself in the corner, interjects once about every like 2 to 3 minutes of video playing, and then posts it to YouTube and gets hundreds of thousands of views. He is my lazy king, and I look up to him so much. So let's see what Too Lazy to Try has to say about Alex Jones finally realizes it's over for Donald Trump. Let's see.
My lifeboat may not be perfect, but it's the lifeboat I've got. And I'm watching it sink by its own doing.
Oh, oh. People, I hope people don't get mad at me for this because I do this shit a lot. I do I do like to look at people and then get grossed out by their appearance. And I promise you guys, I only do this for terrible people. Like I do not do this. I do not go out in my everyday life and just see random people walking down the street and go, ugh, like I don't do that. I promise. It's only for these ghouls, these cretins that I do this, and I am very appearancist against these people. So, but anyway, oh, what I was actually gonna say though is look at him though. He's like, he's a thumb. He is the epitome of a thumb, and I thought he was looking better before. Like I thought he had lost a bunch of weight, but I feel like he's starting to gain that back a little bit. But he's got the goatee. Oh no. He's ruining it for me. He's ruining the goatee, man. Maybe I need to grow back the full beard. Ugh. Okay. Anyway, now that I'm depressed about my own appearance, I guess that's what I get. Let's keep watching this video. We'll start from the beginning.
So to me, I needed Trump as my life.
They don't talk as slow as Richard Wolff, so we're gonna start one more time at regular speed.
So to me, I needed Trump as my lifeboat.
He
may
needed
not
him.
be perfect, but it's the lifeboat I've got. And I'm watching it sink.
Save me, Daddy Trump.
And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism because I.
Is he gonna cry?
Like,
Is he gonna cry?
Country, I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. I still hope we can turn it around, but I just.
He's gonna cry about it. Oh my god, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right. I mean, what other option do we have? That's
Nick is like, dude, like that's he's like, stop being a pussy, and when this guy with this face tells you to stop being a pussy, like it's like.
the question. People say, well,
It's
what
over.
else is there?
Well,
Because
that's it.
you got
I'm
Trump.
so sad to have to start turning loose of something that had so much potential.
All right, so Alex Jones is going through it once again. The crash outs just keep becoming more frequent, and he always has a meltdown over Trump betraying him and the voters, but then he always goes back to supporting him. It's embarrassing. You know, Trump constantly makes Alex look like a fool, but Alex just keeps going back to him and kissing his ass for some reason. He's trying so hard to give Trump the benefit of the doubt with the Epstein files and all the other controversy. Like, he's always doing PR for the administration, which he gets
he's an official
so
asset now.
Okay,
so for those unaware, Alex Jones, before like maybe like the past year or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. But let's just say before the last 4 years, like he was an unofficial State Department asset. Like he was, you know, I don't know, I don't have any evidence. I don't know for sure. But like he was definitely out there to distract the public. And he was like allowed to get away and say with the things that he said because like the State Department wanted, you know, I think Sam Cedar said it best when he said if Alex Jones did not exist, then the State Department would have to invent him. And like it's the same, it's like the Israel statement for Biden, but I never put those two together. But yeah, he is such a good. He used to be so good at taking like people's real concerns and funneling them into like just into the most silly conspiracies, like just taking like where they should be directed, the pedo billionaires, which he did talk about the pedos. He didn't usually say billionaires, but he just talked about the cabal or whatever. But he would always take them and just funnel them safely away from class dynamic. That was his job. That was his role. So he was an unofficial State Department asset. About like definitely within the last year since the most recent Trump administration, he is just like an official State Department asset. Like he is getting his notes from Trump or from the State Department directly of exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck a little like robotic thing up his butt and like have a remote control that they can just like move him around and tell him exactly what to say at this point. He is just a shill for the administration. So that is who he is, and that's who we are now going to make fun of him. That's who we're not going to make fun of.
Because it's just pathetic seeing him constantly make a fool out of himself trying to help Trump, and then in return Trump just makes things even more difficult for him. It must be so exhausting coming up with all these reasons to justify Trump not releasing the Epstein files. And now, after a year of Alex trying to do damage control over that, he's expected to defend Trump going to war with Iran. So I think he's finally jumping ship. He just seems so defeated. This
We'll
was
see,
supposed to be a
dude.
golden age.
Dude, he's like schizophrenic, like he's like bipolar. Like he just goes back and forth. Like I don't know. He'll probably be back on the Trump train tomorrow.
thing, but it's a mess. Alex also always says he needs Trump to succeed because if not, the Democrats will shut him down and put him in jail. So it's hard for him to admit Trump screwed up, but now after Trump attacked Iran, Alex just seems fed up with him. And Alex had Nick Fuentes on his show, who predicted Trump would go to war with Iran and didn't vote for him until
Not the hardest prediction to make. I mean, we don't have to give him credit for that. Like
his fans not to vote for him because of that. And now he's telling people to vote for Democrats for the midterms to basically teach Republicans
I'll take
a
it.
lesson. And when he said this to Alex looked like he was dying inside.
But quickly, I mean, by the hour, I morally cannot be part of this. You're already there saying vote Democrat. I get you're saying that as a carrot and the stick, but I mean, what the hell's going on here?
I think you have to. I think.
Yeah, but they don't get it though. Like I said before, Democrats would have gone to war too. They would have gone to war with Iran. It would have looked a little different, but they would have done it.
You have to vote Democrat in 26, and I'll tell you why. I mean, we're being told always that the Republicans are the lesser of two evils, that, they're going to be marginally better than the Democrats. Look at all of the broken promises. Epstein files, that's huge. It's huge. And
it's so funny hearing him say the exact same shit that we hear from the Democratic Party to the Democrats, like, oh, you got to vote for the lesser of two evils. And like hearing him say it from the right perspective where like they're literally getting everything they want, everything in their wildest dreams, and it's not far enough for him. So he's just like a Trump dead ender, like, well, I guess we'll just accelerationist the country on fire by voting for Democrats. Like, sure, whatever, go for it, Nick. Tell him. You tell him.
They tried to cover it up. It's
I
not
buy
like
it.
they fumbled that. It's not like they made a mistake. They engaged in an active cover-up, and they failed only because of a revolt within their own party.
Yeah,
Now,
the U.S. consulate got fucked. I saw that video. It got hit hard.
Green is an outcast. She was like the MAGA congresswoman. She was like the one in Congress who came after Trump won the election. She's
my
an
MAGA
outcast
queen.
because she led the coup to get the Epstein files released. That's a big one.
And Alex looked like he's trying to hold back tears during this.
She's gonna cry about it.
At one point he said it's like watching your grandma die. And he's been backing Trump for over a decade now. And originally Trump's promise was no new wars and staying out of the Middle East. His fans would say he's the candidate of peace and would end wars. So this might be as big of a stab in the back as him covering up the Epstein files.
And then
Stupid. They're all stupid. They're all stupid. If they actually believed it, they are stupid. Anybody who believed that Trump was going to end wars is stupid. I'm sorry if that's you, if you're watching this, that you're stupid if you believe that he was going to end wars. Like,
on
sorry.
the other side of the Strait of Hormuz to protect this. I said it in the first hour. It's happening in live time. Nick, this is like a bad dream.
It is. It feels surreal. I still can't even believe it. Even though I've been predicting it and even though we're watching it, I wake up and I see the news. We are at war with Iran. And for people that are not paying attention to all this stuff, again, it cannot be overstated. This is like, it's literally the...
I don't know if he can, but he's got to grow a mustache or something. That upper lip, it needs a little bit of help, man. Like he got, or some Botox, one or the other.
Neocon nightmare scenario, like war with Iraq, Syria, now Iran. You
This
just
is
go
the
like,
ghost of the neocons possessing us. This is their wet dream.
Yeah, it is.
And for Trump to be the one delivering it, that's the most surreal aspect of all of it. You could see a DeSantis doing this. You could see a Kamala Harris doing this, honestly.
Yeah.
But to see Donald Trump on Friday.
This is where they're just wrong, though. You can see all of those people doing this. You could see Joe Biden doing this. You could see Kamala Harris doing this. But, like, you could see Trump doing it, like, 10 times more than those other people. If you had, like, you know, if you had any authenticity. Like, if you had, I don't know. If I go back and forth whether they actually believe that or not.
Friday night at Mar-a-Lago with the hat on, with the black curtain announcing this war, building the case against the Iranian regime. You go, what happened? What happened to this movement? You know, I mean, you and I, we've been with Trump really since the beginning, since 2015. And when he
Make
came
Israel
down the
great again.
His
Sorry,
first
America,
big move
America,
was
I'm in
basically
America.
to destroy this Republican support for war and the war in Iraq in particular, repudiate that whole legacy.
And another big problem they have with him that I haven't heard many people talk about is that Trump refuses to help build people up to take the reins when he's gone. You know, he doesn't care about the future of the Republican
That's
Party
where it
at all.
is.
Like Alex and Nick were talking.
That makes more sense. He's just a petty little loser. Like, he just wants Daddy Trump to come anoint him the successor, and he's not doing that, so he's just pissed off. That's probably what the real reason is.
About how Trump set it up so there's basically no young Republicans in a position to take over, and the people that were in a position were taken down by Trump and his handlers. So not only does he not help.
By the way, it's going to be a perfect opportunity, perfect storm. Whenever Trump dies, you know, or like is voted out if we have elections or whatever, perfect storm that can finally coalesce into like Democrats rebuilding themselves as a working class party is what I want to see. If they do that and they, you know, get scores of like scorned Republicans who are, you know, coming down off of their sugar high that they've had over the past 10 years with Donald Trump. Like, it will be the perfect storm to just like take all those voters and be like, we will fix the material conditions that you guys want. But you just got to stop like being like just like a little bit, you got to start being a little less racist, like, and then we'll give you all the stuff to make your lives better. Like, it'll be the perfect storm, and Democrats better take advantage of that.
Build people up, but he tries to keep people down.
I don't have much
what
faith.
What other option do we have? That's really the question. People say, well, what else is there?
Well,
Because
that's it.
you got
I'm
Trump.
so sad to have to start turning loose of something that had so much potential.
Yeah,
it's
well,
like,
not only
it's like
that.
a grandma dying or something.
Well, it's sort of.
When's the last time
literally,
his grandma
kinda getting
died?
up there, you know. So it's very tragic and sad, and sadly, there's no alternative. I think it would be a little bit easier on all of us if there was any underclassmen here.
Exactly.
That's the worst part.
I was about to say, there's no stable of new horses here.
Yeah, and I see that as a big failure of Trump, because it should have been a whole new stable. It should have been.
It's
a new
like, I want to be that
generation of
horse. I want to be the horse. No.
Congressmen and senators, you know, like, where's our AOC? Well, they all got cannibalized.
I respect you. Disagree with something you say, but you're a leader. You care. I'm like, you're the future, Nick. We're counting on you. A real leader immediately recognizes younger bulls that are going to lead the people. That's what a tribal leader does. With Trump, it's this ego thing where anybody else being strong is bad, and as he gets older, it gets worse. It's sick.
You picked the most narcissistic person in the world to lead your movement. Like, what? Did you ever think that Trump gave a shit about anybody but Donald Trump? Like, what on earth did you expect to happen?
You're right. That's like a boomer thing. That's the baby boomers, or he's 1946.
Boomer, I hardly know her.
This is like a baby boomer thing. They will not like let us have anything. They're hoarding the wealth.
True.
They're hoarding these like fiefdoms. You're right. It is an ego thing. And at the end of the day, that is really his issue. Nobody wants to admit it. It's actually brave of you to say that, because that's
So
a
brave.
huge thing. A lot of people say, oh, it's his advisors.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Alex Jones. It's a brave warrior.
He's getting bad advice. It's his personnel. It's him.
No,
It's
I said
always
back in
been
March.
him.
Flash cut to him like crying like a little baby.
Tim coming up, Epstein. All because he loves the power of protecting all these scumbags.
And at least Alex will directly call out Trump now. I mean, I see so many people who will criticize everyone but him. You know, they act like he has no authority and he's just being taken advantage of by all the people around him and his administration and Israel. But then they'll never criticize Trump directly, because I think a lot of people are nervous about upsetting him, because Trump will go after people
He's the
on
daddy.
the right even harder than people on the left. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey, he absolutely hates them now.
Marjorie.
More than people on the left, it seems like.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, are are heel turned woke, like the new woke queen, and she just left Congress right when she became woke. It was such a tragedy.
Which Alex and Nick also talk about here, and how Trump and the people around him are more focused on shutting down criticism that's coming from their own side. Like Trump will protect all the Democrat elites in the Epstein files, but then go after some of his biggest former supporters who voice their concerns about his decisions. Like it's either you're 100% with him or 100% against him. There's no in between.
Yeah, he's a petty little drama queen, of course.
That's the plan. That's what all his sycophants will say. Like everything Trump does is 4D chess. Like Alex originally claimed Trump was using the Epstein files to blackmail the deep state. That's why he didn't want to release them. It's so funny seeing people have to come up with all this nonsense. I mean, Trump's always talking about how he feels bad for people in the Epstein files, like Bill Clinton. He's like, I like Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
I hate to see what
Bubba.
he's going through. I hate seeing him exposed in the files.
Big beautiful Bubba.
But his fans think Bill Clinton was eating babies on Epstein's island.
Probably.
So they have to think of some way to spin it, like, oh, he's just saying that, and eventually he's playing.
Oh my god, dude, these people. He's such a queen, dude. He is the biggest queen. Like he is so like I think that he might be bisexual, but like he like I don't even think that he sees like I don't think he really cares about sex at all or whatever. He only cares about what he can get from it. But like this is a great picture. This needs to be in a museum.
Which you either got to be completely delusional or being paid
Fed
to
Epstein.
still defend this nonsense. Or maybe people are just really scared of Trump coming after them. You know, like when Marjorie Taylor Greene started pushing for the Epstein file release while Trump was
Lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left. She became woke, performed poorly on the pathetic View, and became the rhino that we always knew she was. Just another fake politician, no different than Rand Paul Jr. Thomas Massey. Who? Wait, aren't those two different people? Why is this one parenthetical? Oh well. Okay. You got caught being a full-fledged Republican in name only. Rhino, make America great again. Yeah, I told you that's why. Yeah, she turned right when she left the Republican Party. She turned woke. She became the woke queen we always knew that she could become, like a beautiful butterfly.
he really started going after her, and she was freaking out about it. So I think Trump tries to keep people in line by threatening them.
The Republican Party is now looking at all of us that have any soul, and they see us as the enemy.
We got to get out of Dodge, man. I don't know what country you're dropping in at, but that's the saddest part. You know,
can go to Dubai. We'll build a new Israel, and it'll just be Dubai, and we'll just send all these all of these neo-Nazis over there. Maybe that's the solution.
GOP's coming down. It's hard to kind of figure out what that next move is. That's why, for me, I keep my options open.
Used to head up the Army and then the Defense Intelligence. He got confirmed. He won't give me classified stuff, but they're like, sir, they got a whole opposition thing to take us down, and you're at the top. And they say it's a bunch of names. And he's like, so yeah, no, they're literally not worried about Democrats. They're going to put them in jail. They're literally worried about loyal Americans. And to the Pentagon's credit, they're like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, well, that's the story of the admin. You know, Bill Clinton is being protected. Hillary, Obama. You know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's always this cope, like, well, here's how Trump can still win.
Here's why you're right, because we learned this the last 60 days. I told you this on the phone. I don't know if it got through because I talk fast. Dude, we're the focus
so
because
fast.
they know we're not sellouts. They're like, looking, we got it all. We got Trump under control. Who will block us? And they're literally getting rid of Ed Martin, creating files on us.
I mean, I don't think so, man. They are the next stage of American fascism. Like whether they're going to get it like immediately or not. Like, I mean, Alex Jones is, and he's like, 2 feet in the grave already. But Nick Fuentes is the future of the Republican Party. Like, and I think they kind of know that. Trump is just a petty little bitch, so he's not going to give anybody like if it's not going to get him, like him personally, anything, he's not here for some grand vision or some movement or something. But like the American capitalists are ready. They're ready to move on to the next stage of fascism, of like full and complete control. And like I think that these people, unless it gets stopped, which I mean, the Democratic Party is really, dropping the ball, but unless it gets stopped, like these people will be the future, like of the Republican Party. They will be welcomed with open arms, trust me.
Literally, the eye of the White House is on us because they're worried we'll influence Trump.
That's how it's always been. The GOP has always been cannibalizing the authentic base. That's just it. And that's why I've always said the GOP is really our biggest enemy. It's not even the Democrats, because at least the Democrats are the devil And
I mean, kind of. Like they're like the GOP was like a more neoliberal party for a while, but like they will side with capitalism inevitably turns into fascism. Fascism is the final stage of capitalism. And so these people, they are fascists. They will rise and ascend the ranks of power because the capitalists will need them to, because they will need the regime to become more brutal in order to protect their capital interests from the mass of working class people. Like that is what will happen. So these people will rise to the top eventually. It might not be tomorrow, but they will eventually.
You know that they're your enemy, but it's always these Republicans. They say, we're going to take the fight, hold the line, all this. And then they always turn the cannons inward and shoot at their own people. That has always been the story. So, I tell my followers, take your own side. The GOP is not
B-roll
looking
seems
out
a
for
little
you.
irrelevant,
They're not fighting your enemies. They're not securing advantages
well, that's right.
for
America
you.
first in our America survival. In fact, I'm going to start the America Survival Party.
So I think Alex might finally be done with Trump. Hopefully. I mean, it's painful to see him just continue to go back. It's crazy. He helped him get elected.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Trump just screwed everyone over and is now.
If he can go, okay, I'll say this. If Alex Jones can go one whole month without returning to Daddy Trump and seeking his approval, then I will potentially believe that he is like done with Donald Trump. But until like he's got to make it that long, man. Like he's got to go cold turkey. Like Trump is like a drug to him. It's like heroin. Like he cannot help but just go over and just like snort whatever dust is on Donald Trump's hair. Like he cannot stop. So I'll believe it when I see it. 1 month. You get 29 days left, Alex. I believe in you.
After his biggest supporters who were just trying to hold him to his promises. I don't know how Alex could continue supporting that. It's like an abusive relationship or something. He just keeps wanting to go back, even though he knows Trump is going to screw him over again.
Maybe that's a better analogy.
Think about it all, and then make sure you
hey, I never said that I was as smart as this beautiful man right here. Too lazy to try. Okay, I'm not trying to be that smart. Okay, I'm the commentary of the commentary. Like my job isn't to be as good as the actual commentary.
Patreon, I just posted a new video about how Dan Bongino is crashing out over Candace Owens. It's hilarious. And also I talked about Mark Maron and Joe Rogan squashing their beef.
He was crying too lately. All of the like right-wing freaks, they're really in their feels right now. Like they are, I don't know, they're just very, very sensitive right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's whatever turned the frogs gay. It finally got to them. The water that turned the frogs gay. Maybe they're drinking out of the wrong pond or something. I don't know. The raw milk, maybe it raises your cortisol levels or something. I don't know. They're all just very, very sensitive right now.
And a bunch of other stuff. There are also over 170 other exclusive videos on there. So if you enjoy the channel, it's definitely worth checking out. I'll put a link in the description.
Modern liberal white.
The next video. This is for anyone who wants to show up next time. This is a little preview. Modern liberal white women. What this is, who this is by, that's going to remain a mystery. Anyway, we are done. Thank you all for showing up. If there's anyone out there, I do not see you, but and if there is anybody watching this VOD in post, thank you for watching the entire thing. I hope to have some people who like to just watch the whole VOD after the fact, at least at some point. So, stay safe out there. It's the new channel name is technically Clay. I swear I will keep it for at least a week. I promise.